They told us they stood for transparency. They told us they served the people. But today, behind closed doors, power is being weaponized to shield one man from the truth: Donald Trump. And the clearest evidence: the deliberate obstruction of a vote on the Epstein files. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett isn't mincing words. In a Congress crippled by contradiction, she's pulling the curtain back on the hypocrisy that defines today's political machine. What's happening isn't just procedural delays, calculated sabotage. According to Crockett, Speaker Mike Johnson is actively maneuvering to prevent the Epstein files from reaching the House floor. Why? To protect someone. Or rather, to protect everything that could come crashing down if those files ever see the light of day. This Congress, it pretends to champion transparency until the truth becomes inconvenient, Crockett says. It speaks of protecting the people, but delivers pain instead. It hides behind the veil of procedure while shielding the likely criminality of the former president. The Epstein files and archive that could expose powerful names, possible ties, and long-buried connections have become a flashpoint in American politics. And while Republicans like Mike Johnson once echoed calls for transparency, they're now contorting themselves to avoid a vote. Why the sudden shift? You want me to explain the unexplainable? To crawl into Mike Johnson's mind and make sense of this? I can't. Crockett continues. But I can tell you this isn't just about Johnson. It's about a network of enablers, from congressional leadership to the Attorney General, all circling the wagons around Trump. It's rare to see bipartisanship in today's polarized House. But on this, members from both sides want the files released. And that's precisely what terrifies leadership. If even Republican lawmakers are ready to go on record, how much longer can the Speaker stall before the dam breaks? He's not stalling for strategy, Crockett insists. He's stalling for survival. If those files drop, there's no pretending anymore. There's no plausible deniability. And the public is catching on. Constituents are flooding congressional offices with calls demanding accountability. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene claims she's received more outreach about Epstein than any other issue enough, she says, to sign on to a bipartisan bill compelling file release. Yet Crockett is skeptical. People call, they organize. And still, their voices land on deaf ears. Sometimes those calls don't move votes, they just drive resignation announcements and quiet exits. Still, one pivotal moment may be approaching. The House Oversight Subcommittee on Government Operations recently issued a subpoena to Ghislaine Maxwell. This motion, brought forward by a Republican, signals that at least some in the GOP are willing to move past partisan barricades. Maxwell, currently serving a 20-year sentence, may soon testify. Crockett, a former criminal defense attorney, warns that such testimony won't come easy. Legal complications, appeals, and pressure from federal actors could all distort the truth. We can't trust the DOJ to lead this. We've seen what happens when the department gets involved. It's too easy for them to sanitize, to threaten, to offer deals. But here, in Congress, there's at least a sliver of control both sides can participate. Yet even that sliver is under threat. News broke that Trump's own criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, now serves as Deputy Attorney General and has already reached out to Maxwell. The implications are staggering. If they truly wanted transparency, Crockett says, they could release what's already in their hands. But instead, they're pushing to unseal tiny fragments like grand jury testimony that only makes up a sliver of the full story while pretending it's everything. What we're witnessing, she argues, isn't a search for truth, it's an elaborate theater of distraction. They're not trying to uncover new facts, they're trying to muzzle existing ones. The fear, Crockett suggests, is not about unknown revelations. It's about what we already know and what they fear the public will connect. That a man already found liable for sexual abuse, caught bragging on tape about assault, surrounded by decades of misconduct allegations, may have deeper ties to Epstein than anyone wants to admit. They want to distract you, threaten celebrities, attack former presidents, relitigate scandals long buried. But what they can't afford is for you to stay focused, and the more they try to suppress, the more they validate suspicion. Trump has told his base to stop talking about it. He's insulted them for keeping it alive. That's not just desperation. That's fear. So what's in the files? What could be so damaging that someone with decades of exposed scandals still fears their release? Crockett doesn't claim to know specifics, but she knows the stakes. If he is in those files, if he played any role in trafficking or exploiting not just a political scandal, it's a national betrayal. And if that's who's leading this country, then what hope is there for justice, or for moral leadership? She reminds the public that this goes far beyond one man or one case. The Department of Justice, under current leadership, has demonstrated a shocking lack of integrity, from offering lenient sentences for civil rights violations to ignoring violent altercations between sitting senators. The DOJ has become a tool, not a safeguard, she says. They're prosecuting political enemies while turning a blind eye to real harm. They're erasing the Civil Rights Division and throwing scraps at perpetrators of injustice. And all the while, they act as if nothing happened, as if Epstein never existed, as if a convicted trafficker didn't operate a web of elite exploitation. They want us to forget. They want time to pass, so they can say, Jeffrey Epstein, but we won't forget, and we shouldn't. Because if they're hiding this, Crockett asks, what else are they hiding? How many more secrets lie buried on foreign dealings, domestic abuse, human rights violations? This isn't just about transparency anymore. It's about survival. Our democracy only works if there are consequences, if there's accountability. And, with that, Crockett makes her final appeal to independents, Republicans, anyone who still believes in principle over party. If you can't trust your leaders to protect children, to expose predators, to tell the truth, then what can you trust them with healthcare, jobs, your rights? The silence of leadership is not neutrality. It's complicity. And as long as the Epstein files remain sealed, the people remain in the dark. This isn't about left or right. It's about right and wrong. And we have a right to know. The fight isn't over, but the curtain is being pulled back. And the truth, no matter how long it's buried, always finds its way to the surface.